Hi! If you string rackets, I'm sure you've heard this request from a customer before, or maybe you're the player making the request. In this video, I'll share with you how to find your optimum string tension and why I feel even numbers are better than odd numbers. Alright, we're going outside. So what was this request? Alright, so here's the situation. Let's say a player brings his racket to you for restringing. It's been about a year and decides to increase the tension by 1 pound in the attempt to find out if it would improve the performance of the racket. Maybe it might seem like a big deal to the player, but in my opinion, it's not enough of a deal to make any significant difference. In fact, in this scenario, I believe it's more mental than physical. Now, before I share my response to this 1 pound request, I'll address a couple of scenarios. Alright, scenario 1. A player switching to a new racket and has 2 frames. When switching to a new racket, I would usually recommend strings that he's familiar with, preferably the same ones used in his previous racket. The goal is to eliminate any variables that might influence the play test when trying to find his optimum tension. I'll remind him that this first stringing should be treated as a trial stringing, in other words, an experiment. Here's an example of a situation and my recommendation. Let's say 52 pounds is what I feel would be an ideal tension. String one racket at 50 and the other at 54. Hopefully he'll feel the difference between the two tensions. From there, he can decide if he wants to go with 50 or 54 for his next stringing. Or if he can't decide, then split the difference and go 52 for his next stringing. Scenario 2. A player trying a new string setup on their current racket. When switching to a new string setup, when possible, have a restring 2 rackets at the same time. Again, this will serve as an experiment to help determine the optimum tension side by side. Depending on how often she breaks strings, I would recommend the following. If less than 2 to 3 weeks, go with a 2 pound differential. If more than 4 weeks, then go with a 4 pound differential. Then based on the playtest, she can choose the tension she preferred. Now if she can't decide, split the difference. This means the differential for her next stringing will be reduced from 2 to 1 pound or from 4 to 2 pounds. I hope you got that. Now if you're still thinking, why not just go with a 1 pound adjustment right from the start? Well, here's my theory. The more often a player restrings their racket, the more likely they'll be sensitive to subtle changes. Here are 3 examples. Player 1 restrings on a daily or weekly basis. Now here is where a 1 pound adjustment might be noticeable. Player 2 restrings monthly. This is where 2 pounds would more likely be noticeable. And player 3 restrings after 4 weeks. Go with 4 pounds and it will be likely to be noticeable both physically and mentally. You probably figured out by now why I like even number tension over odd number tensions. If you haven't, here's the answer. The nice thing about even numbers, whether you go with a differential of 2, 4, or 6 pounds, you can always divide it in half. I hope I provided you some guidance the next time you try to find your optimum string tension. Thanks for watching, happy stringing, and let your strings play.